Today, I'm going to reveal my top signs that you're in a toxic workplace so you can quickly recognize when your workplace is becoming too stressful for your own good and take action to avoid it. Hi, and welcome back to another segment of Triple T, where I reveal my top tips and tricks to help you excel at work and reach your highest potential. I'm Allie, and today I'm going to share with you my top signs that you're in a toxic workplace. The reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because I found that when people think about toxic workplaces, they automatically think of extreme examples such as stealing, sexual harassment, and abuse. The problem with this is that people will then use these examples to gauge if their workplace is toxic or not. But the reality is that your workplace can still be toxic without these events ever occurring. And without having a good understanding of the more subtle signs of a toxic workplace, you may be unintentionally putting yourself in a bad situation that could have otherwise been avoided a long time ago. So for today's video, I'm going to reveal some of the more subtle signs that a workplace is toxic to make it easier for you to identify if your work environment is the problem or not. Before I reveal these signs, I'm curious to know, have you ever been in a toxic workplace? If so, what signs let you know if a workplace is toxic or not? I love reading about what works and doesn't work for you, so make sure to leave your answer in the comments below. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and grab a drink, and we'll get started. Sign 1, high turnover. If you think you're in a toxic workplace, then chances are you're not alone, and the numbers will show that. Organizations with toxic work cultures tend to have higher turnover rates because people aren't able to survive in that work environment for long periods of time. So take a look at your organization's turnover rates. If it's higher than the turnover rates of other organizations in your industry, then it might be a sign that you're in a toxic workplace. Sign 2, poor communication. Have you ever had a one-sided conversation with your boss? You know, one of those conversations where your boss does all the talking and you just nod in agreement. Although there's a time and place for this type of communication, this shouldn't be a constant occurrence. Employees should feel comfortable voicing their opinions about matters that they're experts in. So take a look around. What sort of communication occurs in your meetings? How about with your boss? If you notice that your boss is the only one speaking or there's dead silence in the room, then it may be a sign that you're in a toxic workplace. Sign 3, unrealistic expectations. Does your boss or organization have a tendency to give you unrealistic deadlines that require you to stay at the office until late at night to get it done? Maybe you're always up to your neck in work meant for 2 or even 3 people. If so, then you might be in a toxic workplace. People in toxic workplaces don't care if their work demands impose on the lives of others. To succeed, you need to eat, sleep, and breathe everything about the organization. If not, then you're considered dead weight. If this all sounds too familiar, then there's a good chance that you're in a toxic workplace. Sign 4, fixated on power and status. Are your bosses and coworkers fixated on their power and status within the organization? If so, then it may be a sign that you're in a toxic work environment. Toxic work environments function by using power and status to control and make impossible demands of their employees. In this type of environment, resources give you leverage over others, and information is kept secret to demonstrate one's privilege. So if people in your organization have a tendency to obsess over their connections or brag about their privileges to others, then it may be a sign that you're in a toxic work environment. Sign 5, toxic people get promoted. Have you ever noticed that every time someone gets promoted in your workplace, they strangely resemble your old boss in the worst way possible? If so, then it may be a sign that you're in a toxic workplace. You see, it's human nature for us to like people who are similar to us. So naturally, in a toxic workplace, management is going to prioritize employees who act just like them. Unfortunately for you, that means you won't get that promotion unless you stoop to their level and play by their rules. So if you start to notice that the same toxic people are getting promoted, then it may be a sign of a toxic workplace. Sign 6, intense rivalry. When you walk into a meeting, does it feel as if you can cut the tension with a knife? Chances are it's because everyone's paranoid about their jobs and staying at the top. One mistake, one single misstep, and they can lose their place just like that. Some people even go as far as sabotaging other people's work or spreading rumors that could get them ostracized because of their fear for their future. If this sounds like your workplace, then it may be a sign that it's toxic. Sign 7, upfront about culture. Okay, so this sign is for people who are currently on the job market. One way you know if a place is toxic or not is by how honest employees are about the company culture. You see, when you're interviewing for a new job, it's easy to disregard offhanded comments employees or managers make about what it's like to work at that company. I mean, you need a job, and hey, the fact that they're blunt about it must mean they're joking about it. There's no way they can be serious, right? Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but those statements are said for a reason. In fact, in college, I interviewed for a job where everyone joked at a team meeting that if you even sneezed around this one manager, then you'd be fired on the spot. It's hard to believe, right? Well, I got to witness this manager in action within the first week I started my training and left almost immediately after. And based on what I heard, turns out that it was the best decision I ever made. So, to summarize, if you notice that people are openly joking about the toxicity of the environment, are blunt about it during interviews, or advertising in their mission statement and values, then it's a strong sign that the workplace is toxic. Sign 8, lack of energy. One way you can determine if a workplace is toxic or not is by looking at your coworkers. So, think about it for a moment. Whenever you enter the room, what do you see? Are people smiling and joking around with each other, or are they glued to their computers with bags underneath their eyes? If several employees are showing obvious signs of fatigue and burnout, then it may be a sign that the organization overworks its employees, and you guessed it, it's probably toxic. Sign 9, declining health. Going off the last sign, you need to also consider how you've been doing since working for this company. Have you started to experience a sudden uptick in migraines or muscle tension? Do you have unexplainable pains in your back or high blood pressure? Maybe you've been having problems sleeping and constantly feeling exhausted all the time. If you've been experiencing any physical or mental health symptoms, then it may be a sign that your workplace is toxic and is having a physical toll on you. Sign 10, think about quitting. If you've been thinking about quitting and it's because of any of the reasons I listed earlier, then it might be a sign that you're in a toxic work environment. People don't think about quitting their jobs unless they're unhappy about something. So to put it bluntly, if you're finding that the reason why you're unhappy is because of how your boss or company treats you, and not because you lost interest in your job or career, then it may be a sign that your workplace is toxic. And there you have it, my top signs of a toxic workplace. Use these signs to help you quickly identify if your workplace is the problem and need to leave. I found that many people who work in a toxic workplace also have a toxic boss. If this is something you relate to, then I strongly suggest you watch this video next, where I reveal different ways you can deal with a toxic boss. And before you click away, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell right there. It helps me get my videos out there and lets you know when I release new content. Otherwise, it's been great having you today. Until we drink again, take it easy. Bye.